Well, we're so excited to have you here, and it's just an honor to actually get um, to share, what you do. And for those, I know obviously who you are, but for those that may not, they need to know who you are. And I think I remember I was watching maybe Netflix or Hulu, and I remember seeing you on there, and I was like, was it Skin Decisions? Is that
I've
the
seen this on
yeah, that
Netflix.
was one of them. I've seen you several times, and I was just like, it really did change the way I looked at things from watching that show because I felt like not only was I empowered, but I was inspired, you know, to look at things differently and not just, say, oh, this is how things need to be. So, did you ever see that show? It was amazing. Skin Decisions.
I may have binged it.
Oh, you did. I know you did.
Like,
And every
no
time
joke.
somebody tells me they binged it, I'm like, were you crying for 8 hours?
Yes.
Literally.
Yes, I know.
Gosh. I was actually especially surprised that the very last episode actually ended with someone who didn't have anything done at all.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to know when to say no. I mean, she wasn't healthy, and I wasn't trying to have somebody be injured on international television. That was
Yeah.
No, not so much. I so respect that.
Was that like a very purposeful decision though to end like this whole show with someone who did nothing?
well, we no. I mean, the purpose of the show was to operate on everybody, or treat, or not operate, but do other treatments. And so I think it was a very truthful show, and I agree that it really did change the landscape of plastic surgery, whether it was giving people permission to take care of themselves. And I heard it from my colleagues all over the country. They would text me from Boston and be like, 2 women came in for facelifts today because they watched your show and they felt like it gave them permission to do this for themselves. I got a lot of great feedback from colleagues, especially those who in the past, whether it was from social media or my advertising, I don't know, they were like, oh, who's this young buck, thinking that she can come and, disrupt the status quo. Even they were reaching out being like, wow, what you did was really amazing. So I think it helped the industry, and I think it helped the way that people view plastic surgery, because like all the other shows are really making fun of the patients, right? Or really not respectful to the journey, or represent the patients as like normal, intelligent people. So we kind of decided to do it in a docu-style way to show the reasons why normal people get plastic surgery, and why it's helpful not just to them, but maybe everyone around them, and what giving confidence back to someone can do for them.
Definitely. I love that view so much because it runs the gamut of, bus drivers, teachers, just everyday people, just taking back that little piece of them. Because I feel like people so much of the time just equate beauty to vanity, but I think so much of it, beauty is identity and just the way we kind of interact with the world.
But I love what she said, because here she is, a world-renowned plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. And when we think of Beverly Hills, what do we think of? Celebrities, money, all those things. And we've all seen those shows. But I will say, as a little girl, I never thought, one day I'm going to get a facelift, or one day I'm going to, because that's not what ordinary people do. But guess what? Things have changed.
Yeah.
And it's not just, and I think that's a stigma that some people think.
Yeah, well, I think it's become a lot more accessible.
Yes.
I think that especially like we saw these, I was just in Utah, and so at the conference they were showing the differences between like boomers and millennials and Gen Z, and it's something like 80% of Gen Z is doing something like, to reverse aging or prevention or whatever it is, where it wasn't that way. Certainly with boomers, maybe even it still isn't to that level. So I think that things have changed. It's become a lot less taboo. I think people are sharing their experiences. I mean, I know in my generation, I'm 44 years old, people didn't even talk about getting Botox now it's like people are sharing their surgeries online. So
Yes.
Botox is like drinking water, breathing
Yep.
air. Like no one cares. If you haven't gotten it, it's kind of like, why not? You know? Not that like you should or shouldn't, but it's just not as big of a deal to discuss.
Yeah, it's like
So I have to be very honest. You're very beautiful. I can't even believe you're 44. And I remember seeing you on TV, and I thought to myself, she's so beautiful, like striking beautiful. And I was like, I wonder what her journey is as a plastic surgeon, and how is she received? Are women intimidated, or
No, I think it's kind of interesting because I actually look better now than I think I did in my 20s, just because I do use filler, I do use Botox, definitely taking advantage of all of the tools in my toolbox.
Yep.
My 16-year-old will look at my pictures when I was in my 20s and she's like, Mom, you really had a glow up, but I think as a woman, it is different in plastic surgery, and especially as a plastic surgeon consulting with patients, just because, and I do it too. I'm guilty of this too. When a woman device rep comes in trying to sell me a laser, if she doesn't have great skin, I'm like, great, why don't you use the laser to fix your own skin, right? Mm-hmm. But a male rep, I wouldn't think that way about. And certainly patients with male plastic surgeons, he can look like a troll and she's like, sure, go ahead and fix my boobs. But with a female, if we aren't walking the walk, I think that it's a problem, and I think we are judged differently. And again, like I said, I'm guilty of it too.
Mm-hmm. It's like you almost have to go that extra step to prove yourself by how you look.
Yeah, it's almost like, and then also along those lines too, I always say if you're a provider or a doctor looks like an alien, you're about to look like one too. So I was at I think it was like a bar mitzvah or something, and I was sitting at a table with a bunch of Persian ladies, and there was a dermatologist sitting with us. She got up to go to the bathroom, and they all start saying how she looks crazy and what nobody would go to her. And I felt like it was a sign from God telling me, like, you better look natural. And I have so much filler on my face, guys, like something like 15 syringes. It's like not even a little bit.
You never know.
Nope.
But you can't tell, and it looks natural, and it looks youthful, and it's in the right places at the right dosages. So it was kind of like, I always remembered that if I want to attract normal people into my life, I have to look normal.
So true.
I heard someone
like attracts like.
I heard someone say recently, they're like, it's funny how people will notice bad filler. They'll go like, oh my gosh, but they don't notice the good filler.
Like, right. And same with plastic surgery. You only notice the stuff that doesn't look good. If it looks great and natural, you just think that person was blessed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're like, your genetics are just so
yeah, exactly. And they're like, yes, they are. Like, no one talks about it, right?
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I know, for me, I'm always like, thanks, Mexican daddy, for my jeans.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So what is it like for you? Do you find that women feel more comfortable? But I would imagine, going to a female, because I know a lot of people, like when they had babies, they're like, I want to go to a female. Like, do you think it's an advantage or to be?
I mean, I think it's very cultural. So I think in certain cultures, I had early in my career, this is before I kind of, had the success and didn't have to credential myself anymore. I did have someone come in, this was like 9 years ago, and like consult with me, and they're like, thank you so much, doctor. Do you know a good male doctor that can do all of this for me? Like, that happened. It doesn't happen anymore. Hasn't happened since. Yeah. So I think it's certain Middle Eastern cultures can go either way. Either they want a male doctor because they see that as a real doctor, or if it's something like a labiaplasty or a breast augmentation, they might feel more comfortable with a female doctor in those situations. So I think it can go either way. I think there's fantastic male physicians. I think there's fantastic female physicians. I think what it comes down to really is, do I like the way this person thinks? Aesthetically, are we aligned? When I look at the before and afters, you're in marketing, Brie, so I was doing so many revision breast surgeries, right? And barely any primary breast augmentations on like virgin breasts, right? And then I started promoting myself as the small breast queen on Instagram. I said, hashtag small breast queen. I only do small breasts. And I will tell you, I have people flying in from England and Sweden. How many plastic surgeons do they pass along the way in the airplane just to come to get small natural looking breast augmentation.
Love
So
it.
it's almost like niching yourself into your own aesthetic is
Mhm.
not just smart because you're attracting the type of people you want to attract and you're going to enjoy those conversations with your patients more.
Absolutely.
But it also becomes a brilliant marketing thing because you're like, I don't want everybody. This is the type of stuff that I do.
Yep.
I only stick to my own aesthetic. If you agree with it, come. If you don't, I'm sure there's 9,000 different plastic surgeons that would be happy to accommodate you.
Absolutely.
So what is the small breast? I guess I don't know what that is.
Yeah, because I
What
remember
is
you
it?
saying on your show that like people are going smaller instead of bigger.
And I agree with that.
It's we're getting definitely a lot of people coming in, taking out the old massive breast implants from the 90s and the early 2000s, and they're either getting smaller implants with a lift or they're getting a lift with fat transfer. So liposuctioning it from an area they don't want it and then transferring it into their breasts so they don't have to worry about, replacing the breast implants or anything like that. The reason why I like small breast implants and the patients that they attract is that your before and afters look killer because the person that's coming for the small breast augmentation is typically a more athletic person. Mm-hmm. Runners, Pilates, healthy, usually professional women. They a lot of the time even have a six-pack. And so all they need is to have a little bit of breast to fill out, like when you have small breasts, it's almost like there's air between your chest and the bra, but the bra is making you look like you have something. Right. Yeah. So just even filling out, making them a large B or a small C. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't even change their bras, but now they're actually filling their bras. There's no more air. Yeah. And also looking better in their, sports bras at the gym. But imagine a woman that has no breasts and a six-pack. Now I gave her small breasts and she still has a six-pack. So my before and afters, these are like supermodels.
You're like,
further so good. Promotes this healthy, fit, natural look, and it makes your before and afters look killer. So people are like, I want my boobs to look like that, but they don't realize that that person's also at the peak of fitness. Mm-hmm. And is the perfect specimen and is already 90% on their way to model features, right? So it's been really fantastic in the sense that I attract realistic, natural, wanting, smart, intelligent women that I enjoy having conversations with, but also as a marketing aspect, it's been incredibly helpful as well.
It's worked out for you. And I love that you kind of like coined that term.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so smart.
And especially like, I remember when I turned 50, I was like, I wanted to like take my body back. And I had, and the one thing I remember saying to someone, I'd went into a plastic surgeon and I talked to him and he goes, well, do you want a breast job? And I said, I don't want anything bigger. I said, I'm pretty little. I said, I want to like, and he said, no, I can't do it without adding implants. And so I left and I haven't done anything, but then I started seeing this. I had no idea that it was, such a thing now, because I was like, there's got to be other people like me that was like, hey, can you just lift them and make them look, I don't want
lift them and fill them just a little.
So now everyone knows, and who to go to. Like, that's amazing. And
it's really about telling people like, I don't need to be everyone's doctor.
Yes.
And I think that's hard because when you come out, you're like, I want as much like surgery and I love operating and I want everybody that I can possibly get. But I just feel like part of maturing as a surgeon and as an entrepreneur, it's knowing that you don't need to have everyone on board, just your tribe.
Yeah. In order to like sustain yourself and give yourself like the energy you need to keep going, you have to just fill your books with the patients you want.
Yeah. So when you're doing surgeries, are there any certain surgeries that when you're just like, I love this, this is like my favorite thing to do? I would imagine there's several things but I take it the breast, the small lift, or what?
I would say at this point in my career, having done so many different surgeries so many times, no surgery is really difficult at this point, and the thrill's kind of gone. And it's not about the surgeries anymore. It's about the people and the relationships with the patients at this point. So that's why it becomes doubly important to be attracting the type of people that you enjoy spending time with. Because again, like before when I was doing a breast lift, I would measure 100 times and I would sit the patient up and down 1,000 times. Now I just do it and it turns out perfect and you don't know why. Like I don't even know how to teach that.
Yes.
So it's not that, the surgeries themselves at this point are as challenging. Certainly you're always tweaking your technique and, everybody's anatomy is a little bit different, but it's rare that I'm seeing something I've never seen before that I'm like, ooh, this is so intellectually stimulating or so artistic. It's not. It's very much just muscle memory. And at this point, I always joke that I can operate underwater at this point. But, and again, the patients coming are healthy. They're not looking for drastic. They're looking healthier or fresher, and so I just think that it's not heroic measures that have to be taken to make someone just look like a completely different person. My patients have never brought in a picture of a celebrity. They all come in and they say, I just want to look like myself, but just fresher and healthier.
I'm actually amazed that like so rarely actually happens.
In my practice, no, but I'm sure in other practices they're bringing in pictures of like these influencers and supermodels and celebrities. But again, like I said, I've sort of niched out that professional, intelligent woman that is very well adjusted. And she's like, listen, I had 5 kids. I just need a little help with my stomach.
That's me, 5 kids. So I have a question. When you're in surgery, what do you do to get in your zone? Are you listening to music?
Yeah, I have the best playlist. I'm famous for it.
Okay, what's on your playlist?
Let's hear it. We gotta know.
I mean, it's so random. I have like French music, we have house, Korean music, K-pop, just like the randomest eclectic mix. But like my husband's a brain surgeon and he listens to either nothing or classical music, which I would fall asleep. So I think the staff appreciates my music since they have to listen to classical music or be in silence for hours with his surgery.
So do you guys like both?
Yeah, we have a surgery center in between our offices.
Oh,
so
how fun.
Yeah, we're connected through the surgery center.
That's so cool.
That is so cool.
One of the surgeons I work with, Dr. Kordestani, he's so funny because it's always either like silence or it has to be something in like the realm of 128 beats a minute because he like read a study where that's like where people are the most productive.
That's so funny. And like we switch it to like when you're just sewing, we usually put more upbeat music. And then throughout the rest of the surgery, it's a little bit more chill. But definitely when you're sewing, you need good music because
definitely.
It's very repetitive. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's when I'm like, okay, this is when I like do my other work.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only take so much video of you guys sewing.
Yeah, lots of sewing. Lots of sewing, right?
What was the process like getting this Netflix show? Like, did someone come to you or were you like, hey, I have this idea for a show and were you pitching?
Yeah, so I basically came out of residency. Obviously, nobody knows who you are at that point. And I just started making YouTube videos on my cell phone.
Oh, cool.
And so nobody really was doing that at that time. So when you would search, breast augmentation surgeon on Google, you know how there's always a row of videos that shows up? It was all me. So I was getting a lot of just free PR. I was getting interviewed for like KTLA and The Real and The Doctors and just all these different Inside Edition and Insider and E! News like 1,000 times. So I was kind of like, I never needed PR because the YouTube videos were almost my video resume. Okay. And I was just doing like, what's the difference between a mini tummy tuck and a full tummy tuck? What's the difference between a breast reduction and a breast lift? Just like very simple things, but I guess people were watching them. And I always knew I wanted my own show. And that was definitely a goal growing up, like in the later stages of my training. And so I did 2 sizzle reels that didn't go anywhere. And then I was under contract with E! For about a year to possibly make a show with them. They decided not to pick up that show, but one of the producers on the Netflix show I was working with on the E! And so when the Netflix opportunity came up, he said, go get Nazarian. And so they came and got me, and thank God that went great. And then the funny thing is when E! Found out that Netflix picked up the show, they revived the other show that they said no to me that I was supposed to be on. But my show was great. So I was like very thankful. Netflix was definitely my ideal dream network because we got a bunch of Roku TVs at home, and I didn't even know how to turn it on. I just knew how to press the Netflix button. So I was like,
I love it.
this is the only thing I know how to turn on in my house. Like, please God, let it be Netflix. And I'd like stay on the spot for 20 minutes and just prayed that it would be Netflix. And so it was great. They're so professional. They're such a great team. Always were respectful. As you know, you watch the show, it was just very respectful to both the physicians and the patients, and beautifully shot. We got nominated for People's Choice. We got nominated for an Emmy Award. So it was just a dream come true. I was like, what life am I living right now? It was crazy.
Yeah. You and Nurse Jamie were so fun together.
So good.
It was funny. She's hilarious.
Yeah, I love
Was that like real chemistry with you two, or?
We kind of met each other for the show. It was, but yeah, she's hilarious. She's a great performer.
I think one of my favorite parts was, I can't remember, where she was like asking if all your hair was real. And you're like, what about you? And she's like, oh, honey, I'm Nurse Jamie. None of this is real.
Yeah.
I about died.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh my gosh.
Fun. Do you have more shows that you want to do? And you probably have so many different ideas, like you're made for TV.
I'm actually pitching a new show idea in next week to a few networks. Yeah. So, I'm very political on my Instagram. I'm a huge, Israel activist. And so I was scared that my entire career was going to go down the drains, but actually the exact opposite happened. And one of the huge, agencies reached out to me, the president himself, and said, how can I help you? They got me an agent, and we're pitching 2 months later. So
that's amazing.
I just always say, as we're in the US, we have freedom of speech, freedom of thought, use it or lose it. And God rewards the authentic. So just speak up and say what you think and what you believe, and stay true to your core values, and God will bless you.
I completely
And
agree.
people love standing behind someone who is strong in their beliefs.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's another way, honestly, to pull in your tribe, right? So all my patients that come in, they're like, I chose you because I like the way you think. And there's an immediate trust there because they know what your values are. And they, you don't even have to have a conversation or convince people that they can trust you, because they already trust you.
That's right. I love your approach to this, because I would think that there's some people that were just like, unfortunately, take any client, any patient, where for you, you're like, you know what you want to do, but you're not afraid to say no and to speak up for what you believe in. I think that's so important, and to use your voice. And my mom always used to say, not everyone's going to like you,
Yeah, and that's fine. But the flip side of that is you can't have people be obsessed with you if you don't have some people who don't like you. Like, you can't be walking on eggshells, like in the middle of the ground, and people be like, I love her. She's always in the middle and just plays it on the safe side. Like, people don't respect that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So I just think, say what you think. Not everyone's going to agree. That's fine. But the people who do agree are going to be like raging fans.
Oh, totally.
I completely agree with that. She's refreshing. I love this. Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I would definitely rather have people obsessed with me. I feel that vibe.
You're so funny. No, I love it. I can't believe she's old enough to have like a 16-year-old.
Yeah, me either. I don't know where they came from.
And so when I was perusing your website, I loved what it was saying about, you love that holistic approach and having, all the lasers and all that technology and the skin. You have a skincare line and like this whole gamut of, I got you. And I love that approach.
Yeah.
Because
you have to take that approach, right? I mean, if you just do surgery, it's kind of like go to a hotel and the sheets are tucked in really nicely, but they're wrinkled and they're dirty.
Yeah.
You have to take care of the whole bed, right? Otherwise, no one wants to sleep in that bed. So if you don't have the lasers to, smooth out the skin and, make it spotless.
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense. Even if you have the best facelift, for example.
Yes.
Everything has to make sense. If your skin looks terrible and everything's pulled back, everyone's going to know you had a facelift. Yeah. But if your skin's clean and glowy and, full of collagen and elastin and all that good stuff, and you're tucked, they're like, dang, I hate her. Why doesn't she age? That's kind of what you want.
Yeah.
Well, it's like so much of the time you and I talk about how like surgery can maybe like, stop the clock for a second, but then it starts ticking again. And like those lasers and that skincare is just going to help.
Yeah, because surgery, it doesn't change the quality of the skin. So if you already are lacking in collagen and elastin, you're just going to sag faster again if you don't start doing things to put more collagen into the skin and remodel the skin.
Do you have a certain laser that you really love that you're like, this is like?
It really depends on the skin type.
Okay.
Like, for example, I could probably use any laser on you. On me, there's like one laser that can be used. Because if you burn lighter skin types, they turn pink and then it goes away and they look great. If you burn darker skin types, we turn brown. We hyperpigment.
Okay.
And so it really just, that's why I have 30 different devices, because it just, and also like, can you accept downtime in LA, or are you an actress and you can't accept downtime? So there's lasers that you might have to do more sessions, but there's no downtime.
Yep.
And then there's lasers for like the soccer moms that are like, I have this 1 week, like hit me.
Yes. Hit me hard.
It really, that's why every single thing that we have kind of fits a different need and a different lifestyle.
You said 30 lasers and I'm just like, I want to come play.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm like I'm a master esthetician too. I got my license and so I'm just like, I love lasers. Because in Utah, like an esthetician can do lasers.
In Utah, but here, no.
Yeah, not so much.
Oh, I didn't know.
So
that.
I can look even no touchy in California, but here I can play.
Oh, I didn't know that. I learned something. Okay.
It totally depends on what state. Every state has different.
Okay, that makes sense.
different
Do you do
scopes.
so you do the lasers?
Yeah, I mean, I do them. You have to be nurse or above in California.
Okay. Yeah, because for me, just to be honest, like that's so scary. I would definitely not, because in Utah, you could pretty much go anywhere. And I've always said, go to an actual plastic surgeon or someone who's qualified to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I think in the past, anybody can do it. And I'm pretty sure a legislator, like in Sacramento, had an adverse event herself. And then after that, they changed the laws so that it has to be nurse or above. And I know Nevada just changed as well. Now it's nurse or above only in Nevada as well.
In a lot of places, it's nurse or above.
Oh, that's crazy. That is, wow. So I've always done like chemical pills and stuff like once a year and I go in, but I did a CO2 laser about a year and a half ago. And boy, and I did an aggressive one at a plastic surgeon. And it was crazy. I think that was my first viral TikTok where my daughter had picked me up from it and I got in the car and my grandson looked at me and goes,
yeah.
It was so funny.
He was scared of me and I probably shouldn't have posted that, but I thought it was kind of funny because he said I looked like a monster. And I didn't.
She told her, like, go hard.
I told her to go hard.
Oh, you have to go hard. If you're using a CO2, it's like, the downtime is the downtime. You want to get the results. And I think, especially for women that are coming to me as a plastic surgeon, they're not coming for a fluff and rub. Like, they're coming for results. And if we don't deliver those results, they're disappointed. So as long as you prep the person, and actually, some of my patients have been so kind enough to actually take selfies every single day. So we can show, with their permission, obviously, we can show our future patients, this is what you can expect day 1. This is what you can expect day 2, and so on. And so as long as you've informed them and they're on board, you can really get some insane results.
Oh yeah. I loved it, but it was definitely, I do TV shows and I went to London 4 weeks after because I was like, and I was still not ready. I was still not ready. But I will say, I just love that how the beauty industry, I don't even want to say that it's changed though. And like even the last few years,
I feel like
being more open.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not taboo. Like, when I was younger, like no one.
You wouldn't even let people know you dyed your hair.
Oh yeah. It's all natural. Don't look at my roots. Yeah. It's true. And we live in Utah, and Utah is, there's a lot of plastic surgeons here, but but it's very
per capita,
much so.
There's a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot. And it's usually like, oh, I've not had anything done. And then, it's for me, as I've aged, I'm like, I want to be authentic in what I'm doing, but I want to age the way I want to, but I want it to be natural. So I love that you said that, like, I want to look natural, even though we're doing things. So I really appreciated that because I think it gives us a little bit of permission to say, hey, she's beautiful, you're beautiful, and it's okay that we've done certain things, whether it's the lasers, the skincare, all the different things. And by the way, I love your website. I just like all the different things that you can do there. So it was amazing. So I really appreciate that. So love it.
Well, we'll let you get back to your patients.
You're very busy.
You guys, so nice to meet you.
You're
You
an inspiration
too.
to this world and using your voice. And so I'm sure everyone who's watching this knows who you are, but if they don't, make sure you go and
We'll link everything.
we'll link
in show
everything.
notes.
So thank you so much.
Thanks, ladies. Have a
Thank
great one.
you.